Hey friends, welcome back to the podcast. This is podcast episode number 190, where we're going to talk about the many faces of Facebook. And I'm going to introduce you to Mackinzie Burke. So Mackinzie, you've been with Team Allwood a year, right? Does that sound right?
Yeah, just over a year now.
And it's been the
I
best
think I
year of your
started
life,
in,
right, Mackinzie?
it has been the best year of my life.
The best year of her life. Mackinzie helps with our social media. She does a lot of the blog posts. She's the one that I work with her on all of the content that goes on Instagram and Facebook. She'll make sure and either give me words and I edit it, or I give her an idea and she types it up. And so we work very closely on social media. And her and I were having this interesting conversation yesterday about how Facebook keeps changing everything. And it's funny because Mackinzie is a lot younger than I am. Mackinzie, can I ask, like, for the whole internet to know how old you are?
You can. I am 29.
29.
I will be 30 in 1 month.
Okay. So, and I will be 50 in less than a year. So we have 20 years age difference between the two of us. And so it's interesting to me because, like, sometimes I think different things that she likes on social media and different changes she likes, and I am really adverse to. Sometimes I wonder if it's like, an age difference thing, because I think the younger generation, you guys are just so much more comfortable with the techie stuff and how different things work. And sometimes people maybe more in my age group are like, would they just quit changing things? And so Mackenzie and I were having this conversation yesterday about the new, it's called Business Suite. And if you are not watching this right now on YouTube, you might want to switch over to YouTube, because I'm going to show some stuff on my phone. I might do a screen share if I'm feeling froggy. We'll see. Who knows where this will take us? And so I was telling her I hate the new Business Suite, and Mackenzie's like, "Oh, well, you tell them. What were you saying about the Business Suite? You don't hate it."
I don't hate it. And I was telling you to, because I wasn't sure how much you would actually export it, because I kind of assumed you would hate it. But I really wanted you to look at it, because right away it looks really intimidating. But once you kind of dig into it, it's not so bad. It's actually, I think, pretty user-friendly. But you have a very different opinion on that.
Yeah, I'm like, I hate the icon. I hate the color. I hate how it just changed on my phone without my permission. I hate everything about it. And Mackenzie's like, oh, I think it's great. So her and I were talking, and I was telling her I could do a podcast episode, because right now it feels like there's a lot of different, call it the faces of Facebook, like, because now there is your personal blue Facebook app. There is what used to be the Pages Manager that everybody that's listening to this podcast, if you have a business, you're getting shifted over to the Business Suite, which I hate, she loves. And then there's Creator Studio, which again, I hate, you don't.
And I don't hate it, but I don't love it. Yeah.
Right. And then there's the Ads Manager. Like, there literally are so many different faces to Facebook. So what we thought we would talk about, and then there's also the Messenger app. I'm like, oh my gosh, Facebook.
And there's Facebook analytics. And if you use Instagram, I mean, that's tied into all of these also.
Yeah. And so it's making me feel hivey, but I know it's not with you. And so I thought, well, let me do a podcast about all the different faces of Facebook, and like when you need to be using the different types of things. And I'm not going to tell you how to use those types of things, because that's what we have in my inner circle for. That's what I reserve my coaching students for. But I want to tell you about the different Facebook apps and when you should be going to those. But I thought I might be a little jaded in some areas. So I thought, Mackenzie, if you would do the podcast with me, we could give people perhaps a balanced opinion about what Facebook is doing. So that's what we're gonna do here today. Okay, so let's talk first about the new. Let's talk about the blue Facebook icon. So that's where I'm supposed to post pictures of Stella and Lola and the kids, and that's where I have it set to private, so people I'm not friends with, can't see my stuff. And you obviously use your own personal Facebook as well, right?
Yeah. And so that one is the social one. That's the one everybody uses for the fun stuff. And I think you call it your cats and your kids and your dogs.
I do. Is that a really bad way to describe it?
No, I think that's great.
But yes, that's where you're supposed to go to put things on there that you want your sister to see and your mom to look at. And so that's the blue Facebook icon. That one, to my knowledge, Mackenzie, has not done any changing and shifting lately, has it?
No, that one has stayed pretty much the same. The desktop version has changed its look.
Oh, yeah.
That looks a little different. And I think our mobile changed a while ago, but I think we've all gotten so used to it already that we forgot that it had changed.
Yeah. If you haven't looked at your regular, Facebook profile on your desktop, I will tell you that mine, for some reason, like the font was really small and like the columns looked different. And, I was feeling a little bit like freaking out on the inside because I'm like, what just happened? My 49-year-old eyes, I'm having to make the font go back to like 100% because it had on its own changed to like 75%. And so,
yeah,
but that's really the only
made everything
change.
smaller.
Yes, everything is smaller for you young eyes. But the big one recently is the change from the original Facebook Pages app, which for years in my inner circle, this is what I've told everybody to use. So it's the app that was orange with a flag, and it is now changing over to the Business Suite. Now, if I understand, Mackinzie, and you tell me if I'm wrong, you don't really have a choice at when this is changing. Like I updated all the apps on my phone one day and then it changed. Is that what happened with you too?
Yeah, we were talking about it one day that it was possibly going to change. And then the next morning, I think I messaged the whole team and said, did anyone else's change? Because mine is different. And I didn't do any updates. It just changed.
Yeah.
And when I went into it, it looked very different.
Yes. And what's weird is when you go to find the orange icon on your home screen and it's not there and now it's light blue and it kind of looks like Pac-Man.
Oh, it does. You're right.
It does. It looks like
I hadn't thought of that, but now I will every time.
So you're way too young, but everybody that's listening to me here, and if you're watching on YouTube, let me see if I can show you. So see, it's like a light blue icon right there. It looks like Pac-Man. I'm like, come on, Facebook. Look, you're better than that.
I printed out it's this one.
You are awesome. That is so much better than me trying to show my screen. Thank you. So it looks like Pac-Man or a clock. That's what it looks like. And so what's interesting, they need to look at the YouTube just so they see what you just printed out. What's interesting to me, Mackinzie, is so it changed, right? But when I open up that Facebook Manager app, it still says at the top that it's becoming the Facebook Business Suite. See how I have like a thing right at the top? It says, hey, if you want to still change it to the Business Suite, I'm like, no, you already changed it for me, weirdos.
Yours looks different than mine even.
See? Zero
consistency.
Yours is
still rolling out. It knows that you need just a little bit more time to adjust, so it's rolling things out to you a little slower.
I'm going kicking and screaming. Okay, so I'm going to tell people why I don't like the new Business Suite, and then I want you to tell people why you love it. Can we do that? Okay,
yep.
So you're supposed to be using the Business Suite to do all of your posting. And you can also look at your analytics on this particular app, just like you used to be able to in the past. If you're in my inner circle, you know kind of what I tell you to look for. The reason I don't love it is because I don't like the blue icon that looks like Pac-Man. And to me, it just, I don't like having the stuff at the top. I feel like I can't schedule anything in here yet. And when I go to like messages, it's got all of my messages from Instagram and all of my messages from Facebook in the same place. So Mackinzie, I'm going to tell you like the dirtiest little secret I've ever divulged on a podcast. Okay. All right. So did you know I used to be a smoker?
I did know that. You have mentioned that.
Okay. And not just like a casual smoker, like a pack-a-day smoker. Okay. Let me tell you something that annoyed the heck out of me. Menthol cigarettes. You want to know why? If I want a mint, I'll eat a mint. If I want a cigarette, I'll have a cigarette. Even now, like Ava was eating mint chocolate chip ice cream last night. I'm like, there is something really wrong with that. If I want a mint, I'll have a mint. If I want chocolate chip, I'll have chocolate chip. Well, I feel like I'm making a really bad analogy here, but I feel like if I wanted Instagram, I'd go to Instagram, but I'm on Facebook. I don't want to see the Instagram messages on my Facebook. I hate this. So true. Okay. So this is in a nutshell why I don't like the new Business Suite, but now the floor is yours and you can tell everybody why they may like it. And then we're going to ask them to all send us a message. I just thought of this on Instagram on whether or not you're Team Mac, because her name's Mackinzie, or Team Jen. Okay, go ahead.
Fair enough. So it's really funny because I think some of my favorite things about it are the exact things that you hate. Like the things you're mentioning are some of the things that I am liking. So I really like it. If you haven't looked at it, you need to look at it on your desktop. Okay. The mobile app is a little less user-friendly, I think. But the desktop app the desktop site is what I really like, because it's a dashboard.
Okay, and so if I just go to my regular Facebook on my desktop right now, Mackinzie, and go to my business page, to me, Doesn't look any different yet.
It's a banner right in the middle of your page right now where it says go to Business Suite.
Okay.
Do you see it?
Nope. Nope, I don't. And this is also why I really wish Facebook, I mean, I know why they change things little by little, but it's frustrating when you see a different thing than I do and we're both working on the same, content. You know what I mean? So, what does your desktop look like?
When I go to your page, it says manage your page and Instagram account together with Business Suite. And then it's a little banner right in the middle and you can go to it.
Are you able to share your screen right now?
I think so.
Okay, so Mackenzie, this is what it looks like on your end. And I see what you're saying right under the words home, live videos and stuff. It says manage your page and Instagram account together. And I do not have that on my desktop at all. Isn't that fascinating? So there's the option to go to Business Suite there. So what happens if you click on that? I think I just said click on that, but
if you click on it, you're going to go right into it. So it's going to bring you to the Business Suite. The roundabout way to do it is just typing in business.facebook.com and it'll bring you to your pages as long as you signed in prior.
That looks crazy. So you're seeing all the analytics and all of the things.
Yeah. So this is what I like. I like that it's a dashboard. It feels, to me, it feels cleaner than like Creator Studio, where you have to go into different tabs for everything and you have to open a different browser for Instagram and Facebook, and it's just a little more streamlined to me. Your updates are right,
which is right there.
Of the screen. Yep.
It's fascinating to me that you like this, because this is like looking at an accounting spreadsheet to me, and like I would rather jab my eyeballs out than look at an accounting spreadsheet.
I think once you break it down a little and understand what each thing is, it's like, right here, it's just your Instagram at the very top. In the middle, it's your updates. And then at the bottom, it's your recent posts. And then you've got insights. And that's on the home dashboard. That's fairly easy, depending on what you're going to look for. If you go down on the side, it is your notifications and your activities. So you can see each one and go in and respond to something if you need to.
Okay. Wow. It's just a lot. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
But what I'm liking is that when you go to, and this is on mobile too, when you go into your Instagram and your Facebook messages, you can sort them out. So right away, I don't like that they're combined either. I think it's daunting. It gets confusing. And you can sort it by unread. You can sort it by things that you've assigned to other people on your team. So that is a little bit easier. You can just click right here to see just Messenger and click on the other side to see Instagram. Okay. And so that to me is easier to manage on desktop than it is on mobile.
Okay. So it's easier. Okay. So that is a really good tip. It sounds like you like the Business Suite on desktop way better than you like it on your phone.
Correct. I do.
Okay. So when you're working for Team Allwood, do you do like 100% of that work pretty much on desktop or on your phone?
I do most of it. I need to switch this. I do most of it on desktop, especially content planning. Okay. So the way I look at it, and the three ones that are main are Creator Studio, and then there is the Business Suite and the Facebook page. Those are the three ones that I'm on when I'm planning content for the week. And I like to look at it as Creator Studio is where I start the week, and that's where I plan the content. That's where I put everything. That's where that's where you edit. And then from there, I go to the Business Suite, and after everything's planned, and that's where I manage things and watch insights. And make sure everything is good, comment on things if we need to, or give links or whatever. Sure. And then the Facebook page, the main one, is where I just see how it actually looks from the viewers' eyes, and how we can just make sure everything is looking okay. And so that's kind of my process, and how I think of it is Creator Studio, and then it goes to Business Suite, and then it's the regular Facebook page. Okay, that's really good. See, this is why I had you on here today, because I would say that 95% of everything I do on Facebook, I do off of my mobile. And so that's probably why I don't love some of the new things they're doing, because they make a little more sense on desktop. Okay, so we talked about the Business Suite. Could we talk about Creator Studio? Because you mentioned that a little bit. And and here's what I'm going to tell people. So right now, Mackenzie and I plan out content for the week.
We do a week at a time, which if you are somebody who likes to do things on the fly, just know that I used to do the same thing. So I get it. But it's been better for us since we're working together if her and I do content a week out in advance. So we talk about what we're going to put on the Facebook page, and then Mackinzie will put it all in Creator Studio, and then I'll go in and do like final edits. So the only time I ever go to Creator Studio is to edit posts. And the majority of the time I do it on desktop, but I do have the Creator Studio app on my phone. On occasion, I'll go edit something there if I think of something later on, but otherwise I really don't even look at Creator Studio. So
do you only look at it on your desktop when you're editing content
when I'm editing
seeing all the
content? Yes. So I'd love to know how you use Creator Studio. And the reason I don't like it is because it feels like just another thing. You know what I mean? It just was like a whole nother thing, a whole nother place I need to go to. And I'm like, well, how is it actually that different than, me just doing stuff in my page and scheduling it there? And so I'd love for you to tell people why you like Creator Studio and what you're using it for.
Yeah, so my prediction with Creator Studio is it's going to go away.
Ooh, you heard it here first, folks. Okay.
Just because the only thing that you can do in Creator Studio really that you can't do in the business suite so far is edit content that you've planned. Because in the business suite, you can see everything that's been published and you can see everything that's scheduled, but you cannot edit those posts. Okay. You have to go into Creator Studio to do that. So that's interesting to me that they did it that way. And I think it's because they're trying to keep Creator Studio somewhat relevant until it's gone.
Until it's gone. Until it's dead. DED, dead. Okay.
Yep, exactly. And there are a couple more things that you can do in Creator Studio, but I think the main time that people, especially small businesses, are using it, everything will be able to be done in the business suite.
Okay.
So I don't mind Creator Studio. I feel like the analytics, you can't see the reach like you used to. When we first started working together a year ago, we were still using publishing tools. We were like fighting the Creator Studio. It existed, but we were fighting it. You and I both were. Well, then they took it away from us and we had to use it.
Right.
We had to switch to Creator Studio. And with that, you couldn't see reach. You couldn't see engagement right away. You had to click into each post, and you still do to see it. That's different with Business Suite. That's why I said it looks more like the old publishing tools, because you can see the reach and the engagement right on the post without clicking into it. Gotcha. So that part of it is easier. And I think once you look at it, you'll like that part.
Nope, but, not doing it. There's this weird thing that happens when you get older. You're like, yeah, I don't want to.
And you don't have to. I'll do it.
That's what I feel like about now with all the Facebook changes. And the truth is I love Facebook. I mean, this is how I've completely built my business. But everything that I want to do and need to do, I feel like I could just do in the regular Pages Manager app. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's frustrating. Okay. I do know that when I look in Creator Studio, there is a place for people who are monetizing their Facebook page. And there's a place for people who have stars that they can kind of, if people are paying for that, or fan subscriptions, that sort of thing you can look at in Creator Studio, but we're not using any of those things on my page. So when I click on them, it's just all blank. So, okay.
And you can see in the business suite, you can see ads, you see the basic overview of it, and then you can click into the ads manager to see more. But Creator Studio it does not have the stars like the Creator Studio does.
Right.
And I don't see that sticking around either.
I don't either. It seems almost like Facebook is just kind of throwing so much at the wall and seeing what will stick right now that I'm like, instead of trying a million new things, I wish they'd just stay at what they were so good at. You know what I mean? So, so that's frustrating to me. So as we finish up talking about Creator Studio, you would suggest that people use it for what exactly? Just content planning?
I would suggest people use it for content planning. So start your content planning there.
Okay.
If you're
so that's writing the posts that they're going to schedule.
Yep. And just getting an overview for everything. And if you are, most of the people here are going to be composing their own and then publishing it right to it. But if they're going to content plan even a couple days out or a week or a month, start with Creator Studio and then move on to the other apps.
Yeah. And there was, for so many years, it was up until you started helping me a year ago, and we had somebody for just a short amount of time before that. But otherwise I had always done all of my content on the fly. 100% on the fly. And the only time I ever scheduled anything is if I was going to be out of town and wanted to be, offline and focusing on my family on vacations. Otherwise, just being a creative, being really impulsive, I just wanted to always be in the moment when I was posting. And that worked for a while until it didn't anymore. You know what I mean? And then there's
and that's great.
Yeah.
If you can do that, and if you
Yeah.
have the capacity, that's great to do it. And if there are people doing that, then I would suggest going to the Business Suite app or just the regular Facebook page app now and posting it that way. Is that how you used to do it?
Yep. Just in the Pages app. And so even now, like, even though you had some things scheduled tomorrow that we had both worked, or yesterday that we had both worked on, I also did a couple of posts just on the fly as things are like popping in my brain. And I just did them in the Business Suite.
Oh, perfect.
What used to be the Pages Manager app is now the Business Suite, and I just did them there. So, okay. So let's talk about then the Facebook Messenger app. So, because they've got a whole nother one. Okay. So it used to be that when you went to the blue Facebook icon, there was a place inside of that app where you just saw your DMs, right? Your Facebook messages. Do you even remember that? Or am I remembering that wrong? You had to be inside of Facebook. Yeah. And you would see who had sent you DMs. But now for the last, I don't know, maybe 2-3 years, it's had its own Messenger app. So it's white. Do you have your picture, Mackinzie? It's got,
I do have my handy dandy picture.
Is it a white lightning strike? What is that supposed to be? It's not a lightning because it's not up and down. It is sideways squiggle.
Yeah, it's just a little messenger thing. It's this one right here.
Yep, there you go. So it's blue with a little white squiggly line in it. This is your Messenger. So essentially, I use Messenger for, sending things to friends and family that I don't want to post on my page. When I go inside of the manager, since I have a Facebook page, up in the very corner, it'll show me how many DMs I have waiting on my page that are private messages. And so I'll need to go and like switch accounts, to make sure, like right now I have 8 private messages waiting for me on my page. So I'll need to go at some point today and address those. And those are things that people just don't want to put, on the main, like in the comments. Maybe they have some feedback for me. Last week we did the Boost Your Biz challenge, and I've had a lot of people send me DMs to my page after that. And the DMs that I get on my personal profile are, the majority of the time, just people that I know that are sending me things. So I don't mind that the Messenger is separate from Facebook. It kind of feels like, I don't know why they just didn't leave it inside of there, but nothing about the Messenger app bothers me. How about you?
That's so funny. I hate the Messenger app.
That is hilarious. How are we like oil and vinegar? This is hilarious. Okay, tell me why you hate it.
Because I think it's cumbersome. I think it is, when you try to go, so if I'm sending you something, which you and I will send things back and forth to each other on there sometimes, you have to select it, and then there's no place to put the message. I mean, it's there, but to me, it's confusing. And I just prefer not to use that. And so when you're using Messenger and responding to people on your DMs, what are you using Messenger or are you using Creator Studio? Or
no, I only respond to DMs with Messenger. Oh. I don't even think I knew you could do it in the other places. Like if you can do it in Messenger, like what is the logic between them allowing you to do the same thing in so many different apps?
I think that they're really trying to, like you said, they're throwing things and just seeing what works. And I think that they're getting closer to one thing that's going to work. And I think it's going to be the Business Suite, and they'll do away with the rest. I really do. Because
do you think they'll give away? Do you think they'll do away with Messenger too?
I think eventually, because in the Business Suite, they're also going to be adding WhatsApp to it. Okay. And it's not there yet, but that is supposedly the rumor. That's what is being said, that they will add WhatsApp to that as well. So with that, I think they're going to try to push that more than Messenger. Okay. And I know that they're different, but I think they will try to have just the Facebook app and the Business Suite, because I think what we're saying, there's 14 different places to do the same one thing.
Yes.
And I think they're hearing that and they're getting a lot of feedback.
Okay, good. Okay. And I know you belong to a lot of like,
and they could be totally wrong.
Yeah. I know you belong to like a lot of groups with other social media content strategists. And so you're
Mhm.
probably hearing kind of the general feedback. So yeah, the messenger doesn't bug me. And the truth is like, I'm a rule follower by nature. So I'm like, oh, we're supposed to answer messages in Messenger. So therefore I go to Messenger to answer messages. It wouldn't even occur to me to go to,
That's what makes sense.
right.
It's
Exactly.
logical.
Exactly. Okay. So the last face of Facebook right now, so this is the fifth one, is where we go to manage Facebook ads. Lord have mercy. Okay, so and we have a Facebook ads person,
Yep.
and I don't have anything currently on my phone. Do you have anything on your phone for our Facebook ads? But otherwise, we go to the ads
I do.
inside of Business Manager, correct?
Yeah, on my handy dandy little sheet here, it's this one.
Which, yep. Okay. So I do not have that on my phone. I think that I took it off when I was like, I'm not going to have 6 icons for Facebook. I love you, but not that much. I'm done.
I get it.
I'm done with it all. So, so inside, okay. So where do you go? Where does anybody go to look at the ads on desktop right now?
You would go to your business suite.
Okay. That's what I
which
thought.
will then
Have the
which will
ads.
then lead
Yeah.
you into the ads manager.
Okay. So if
Or
you're
you could
watching,
just go straight to ads manager.
sure. I'm going to just share my screen for anybody that's watching this on YouTube right now so that you kind of just wrap your head around the visual of what her and I are looking at. So this is the business suite. And if you see over here on the side, it says home activity, inbox, post, ads. So ads is where we go to manage our ads. There you go. So this is where you create an ad. This is where you manage the old ads. And so this would be only something that I would feel comfortable looking at on desktop. But do you ever look at that ads app on your phone?
I will open it every once in a while to see which ads are currently running.
Okay.
And to make sure that they are running. But besides that, I will do most of it on desktop.
Okay. Okay. And in full transparency, we do have a Facebook ads manager. We have had somebody run our Facebook ads now, and it's not Mackinzie or I for probably going on 2.5, 3 years. We are going to have a Facebook ads training inside of Inner Circle yet this month, in the month of October. If you're not already in there, you won't be able to get in there yet this month, I don't think, but you can go to creatorsinnercircle.com and just put your name on the wait list. But we're going to have a training on how to do your first ad, how you should be doing ads. And I know she's going to give, a demonstration on exactly where to go to set up your ads and things. So, so you manage the ads in a completely different place than what you manage the messages, in a completely different place than where you manage your business, and in a completely different place than where you manage your babies and cats.
Exactly. And then if you add, there's Facebook analytics also.
Oh, I know.
That was
You
the
had
other one.
another one. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Facebook analytics. Okay. What is Facebook analytics? Is this another app that you're putting on your phone?
It is an app. It's a Facebook app.
Okay.
Facebook created it. So it is the 6th app, I think is.
Okay. Yep. Because we've already talked about 5. Okay. My Lord.
That one, you're a numbers person.
Actually, I remember I had this on my phone at one time, and I'm like, but why do I need an analytics app? If I can go to Creator Studio and see analytics, if I can go to the business suite and see analytics, before it was just the page, so it made no sense to me. So do you actually look at the analytics app?
I will every once in a while. It's much more of a deep dive into the analytics and the insights of specific posts. So it is a good app if you really want to analyze things.
You like nerding out on the numbers?
Yeah, and you really like numbers, and I know that about you, but I don't know that you would. There's so much. There's graphs, and there is so many analytics in that it does get overwhelming unless you're looking for a specific thing. So if you go in to see exactly what how a post is performing, then it's helpful, and you can see the conversions, and you can see the reach and the engagement. But otherwise, it's pretty, that one can be daunting.
Okay. Okay. So out of all the different 6 Facebook faces that we've talked about, which is your favorite?
Facebook, the original, just Facebook.
Just Facebook itself.
Yep. And on desktop, probably the business suite. I do
Okay.
really like it right now.
Okay.
I feel like it is going to make my job easier
Yeah.
to manage things.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that. And when I first opened it, it was very overwhelming and I
Yes.
hated it and I wanted to fight against it. And then once I looked into it a little bit more, I was like, okay, I can handle this. It's a little bit less daunting than I thought that it would be.
Okay. So let me just finish up here by recapping. So if you are just wanting to run a business, the two that you have to have is you have to have your personal Facebook profile, which is still the blue icon, which is still just the traditional Facebook. Yes, it's changed the way it's looked. You want to know the biggest way that I feel like it's changed recently, Mackinzie, is the way that it shows you posts inside of a group. I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
So like we have,
You hate that
thousands of people in inner circle. And so now when one of those posts comes across my feed, when I'm just laying in bed at night scrolling, it says Jennifer's inner circle at the top. And then it says Mackinzie Burke made the post, or whoever asked the question below that in like little light font. And I can barely read it. And I'm like, why wouldn't they just keep putting the person's name up there? Come on, Facebook. But you have to have that blue personal profile in order to even have a page. And so you've got to have either the orange Pages Manager app, or it's already updating you to the business suite, which is the one that looks like Pac-Man. Is that a true statement? Is there anything else they have to have? They probably have to be using Messenger, right?
If they're scheduling posts and planning content, they have to have Creator Studio to edit right now.
Okay.
But it should also be mentioned that the only place to manage a group right now is also in the main Facebook app.
Yes.
It's the only place. So that isn't in the business suite yet. And there's been a lot of inner circle. I think we were talking about this the other day. There's a lot of inner circle members who are asking where to manage it because they think it's in the business suite and it's not yet.
Yeah. Do you see that changing at all, Mackinzie, or do you think it'll stay there?
I think it would make sense to go to the business suite. So I think it would go to the business suite fairly soon. However, Facebook, the main app, just added a full tab for just groups, and it has a full groups feed. You have your main like personal cats and kids and dogs feed, and then there's a groups feed. And so maybe they'll keep it that way and try to keep it separate. But there's so many people, business owners, using groups to grow their businesses that I would see that has to go to the business suite sooner than later.
Okay. I'm going to put you on the spot and make you answer a question. Which do you like better? No lies, Facebook or Instagram?
Instagram.
Right? Because they're keeping it so much simpler. Me too, girl. I know I talk about this in my coaching group. I'm like, I feel like I've been cheating on Facebook because I have loved Facebook for a decade plus, but they just keep complicating it and making it harder for things to get seen. And I feel like it's not even the complication, but I feel like I just kind of bumble through Facebook now, trying to figure out, now, where do I go to do that? Now, where do I go to do that? Where Instagram, it's pretty cut and dried. And when they originally came out with like the whole different IGTV app, I'm like, no. And then they got smart and put IGTV back, just in the regular Instagram app. And I'm like, yes, now I feel like I've got my groove back. Facebook has 27 different places to go, but Instagram still got one.
And then they added Reels to you.
I know. I'm gonna need to do a whole podcast on Reels and how not to do Reels one of these days because it's so cringy. It's so cringy. I think that would be a
really good podcast.
Yeah, I'd probably piss some people off, but there's a couple people that are doing a phenomenal job. Pat Flynn is doing an amazing job. Brock Johnson is doing an amazing job. There's a lot of people not doing amazing jobs with Reels. And for me, I think that what I love about different apps is stay with what you're good at. And this is such a great business lesson for anybody. When Instagram tries to pretend it's TikTok, there's me and a million other people who are like, no, if we wanted to see dancing and pointing at words, we would go to TikTok. Like, leave that alone. You know what I mean? And let Instagram just be Instagram, where we can watch stories and where we can see beautiful feeds. And so it's frustrating to me because I like what I like. And I also know that I'm older. And so maybe just a little more set in my ways. I hate to say that because I don't think that I am, but yeah, I don't love all this stuff.
I don't think it has anything to do with age. There does not need to be so many places right now to do the same thing. And that's kind of what we were talking about yesterday.
It's like
There does not
Facebook
need to be
whiplash. It's like you just get used to doing something in Facebook and then they change it. And then there's a new app and then there's this and there's that. So it's just too much. So, but with that being said, I will still say Facebook is the best thing that ever happened to my business. I will say that. And because it's the best free marketing still. And even though Facebook is so frustrating, what's also fascinating is even though a lot of us complain about Facebook, and I do pray a blessing over Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg, because, you know, give honor where honor is due. And he's smart enough to figure out how to make an app to control the world. I'm not, so there's that. But when you still look at data, the majority of people, even though Facebook is so frustrating, Facebook still has more users every day than any other app out there. So
and it continues to grow faster than many of them.
it sure does. So Mackinzie, you're awesome. We're so glad you're on Team Allwood. Thanks for being here today.
I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for asking me to be on.
Yeah. So, all right, friends. Well, we're getting ready to wrap up this episode, but you'll have to go over to Instagram, and Mackinzie and I'll be watching the DMs. Do a screenshot of this episode if you want, and tell us if you agree with me that you really dislike all of these Facebook changes, or if you're Team Mac and you really love the new business suite and the creator studio and all of the things. So we love you either way. We're so glad that you're here listening today. Make sure if you don't already follow me on YouTube that you go and you subscribe there, because sometimes we try to share things on the podcast that are visual. And if you're just listening to it on the podcast app, you obviously can't see it. And also you did hear me mention my inner circle, which is not open right now, but we go in depth about how to use all of these different apps, how to use the different features on Instagram, how to make sure you're getting more followers, how to work the algorithm, all of those things inside of my coaching group. So get on the wait list at creators, because you're creating a business in the online space, creatorsinnercircle.com. All right. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.